Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new week and welcome to a brand new edition of what we call the Shifting the Culture podcast, where we talk about the different artists and different events that have impacted hip hop culture and still continue to impact hip hop culture today. I am your host, Conscious Kurt, in the flesh as always, and this man needs no introduction, but fuck it. He's going to give you one anyway.
Yo, what up, world? This is King Khan, live and direct from the ETL. What's up? What's going on, Conscious Kurt? How you been, man? How's everything going?
Just having a nice chill day, just getting some time to kind of relax, enjoy this beautiful ass fall weather we're having in Atlanta right now. And yeah, after this podcast is over, I'm going to get my ass outside again because you can't waste a day like this indoors. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I feel you. Definitely, the fall weather in ATL is better. It's unmatched by any other place. So hopefully, you get to enjoy the day after we get this work done.
Yes, but speaking of the ATL, Atlanta hip hop icon legend T.I. will be dropping his 12th and final album very soon. And that album will be called Kill the King. So after 20 plus years in the game, T.I. is finally hanging it up for good. And I think it's the right time. Definitely feels like the right time. I can't really argue this decision he's made.
Yeah, I feel like it's the right time. Ti has been one of the pioneers of trap music ever since he came out. I believe, like in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. So he's been definitely doing his thing. As of late, over the last few years, he has a lot more other things going on. So he doesn't really need to rap anymore. He's won all the awards, has all the accolades. He has a nice, beautiful family, TV show. Like I don't know what else there's left for him to do at this point. He has been dropping, albums here and songs here and there over the last few years, but the volume has definitely slowed down. But yeah, there's no better way to go out than on your terms, not being forced to leave the game. I'm sure he's gonna put a lot of effort into this last album, and he's gonna go out with a bang, and definitely solidify his legacy as one of the best artists from the South, if not one of the best hip hop artists of all time, and definitely a pioneer for trap music.
Yeah, definitely. And he did say that this album is going to be a mix of both trap music and also the current shit that's out now. It's going to be kind of like the best of both worlds in a sense. But the title Kill the King is kind of a metaphor for kill the ego. So him retiring in a sense is kind of like him making that choice and making that decision where he knows like it's time to hang it up. It's not his time anymore. There's new cats out, there's new people out who are holding it down, and it's time for him to step down. And by him saying kill the king, that's killing his ego and killing maybe that desire to keep going, maybe when he shouldn't keep going, and allowing the game to be for everybody else going forward. And I fucks with that.
Ti has held it down for a very, very long time. Like I said, there's nothing else for him to really do, and he's gonna go out with this last album. I'm expecting it to be a star-studded, feature-heavy album, and it's good that he's stepping aside and letting the new cats in the game, like the little babies of the world, and Gunners and artists like that that's coming from ATL. It's good that he's letting at least moving out the way so he can let them shine. So definitely going down as one of the best from the A and South. What are some of your favorite albums or favorite songs from Ti?
Oh, without a doubt, trap music goes without saying. The 20-year anniversary of that is this year, actually.
Yeah, I can't believe it's already been out for pretty much 20 years already. That's crazy how time flies. But I would agree with you. That's probably my favorite Ti album. I would say trap music. Urban Legends, another one that stood out to me. I'm sorry, and then also Paper Trail as well was a very I would say commercial. Well, probably his most commercial album, but it had a lot of bangers on there and had a lot of heat on there. So those are probably my three favorite albums from Ti. And the song that actually made me fall in love with his music was that first song, "I'm Serious" with Beanie Man. He kind of came out of left field, and a South artist teaming up with a reggae artist for their first single was that wasn't the norm. So to see him come out with that, come out with a collab like that as his first single, and him still killing it, 20 years later in the game, it just shows, what type of person he is. And I'm looking forward to see the next phase of his life. He's very educated, and smart. So I feel like he's definitely gonna put his mind and his power to good use.
And you're forgetting about one other classic album of his, probably the peak of his whole career, King. King, when King dropped back in '06, there was probably nobody hotter in the game than T.I. was.
Oh yeah,
That was by far like the peak of his popularity because it was like around that time the movie ATL came out. I think T.I. was the first rapper to have the number one album and the number one movie in the same week, March of '06.
yeah. So put some respect on his name, partner. Yeah, he's definitely, like I said, one of the pioneers of this trap music. He's gonna go down. You know, his legacy will live on for a very long time, and his music is timeless. Like this, he dropped a lot of classic albums, a lot of classic singles, even mixtapes with DJ Drama. You know, he dropped a lot of. He's definitely put on for the South and for
He's
hip hop.
arguably one of the best to come out of the ATL, and honestly, one of the best in the game, period, especially in the 2000s. In the 2000s, he had four classic albums, four of them.
Yeah,
That actually is definitely something worth celebrating, definitely something worth jamming to, and definitely something that's worthy of him getting the props that he's getting from us right now.
yeah. So shouts out to Ti. Definitely deserves his flowers, and I'm looking forward to see what this next project is about, and can't wait to listen to it.
Yeah, Ti basically reached Will Smith and Ice Cube and Queen Latifah status, where he just really transitioned from music to like being a success in movies and TV with the reality show and all that. I remember he had a podcast a few years ago. I remember that shit.
Yeah, expeditiously or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen it in a while. I don't know. Maybe he stopped doing it because I know people with podcasts they'll do it for a while, then they'll stop and then come back. But I haven't seen it in a while. But yeah, like I said, Ti is very talented. He can do a lot of different things. So I'm just excited to see the next phase of his career and what he can get into and how can he use his influence to impact the culture.
I'm sure we'll see him in more movies and stuff. Yo, he was in that movie Ant-Man, that Marvel movie. If you're in those Marvel movies, you're good. And that's like definitely when I knew like that he had like a different lane when I started seeing him in more of those movies, like more of those commercial ass movies. So I'm happy to see like how far he's made it. I'm also happy to see how much he's grown up compared to, when he first got into the game 20 years ago. Like when you hear him talk and you hear him speak, you could definitely tell like he's more mature, he's smarter, he's definitely like learned from who he was before, and that's also something that he deserves props for too. Real talk.
Yeah, Ti is put on for the culture. He's represented for us. He's one of the first people to speak anytime there's a big issue that happens in the culture. So he's one of the people that you would say one of the spokesperson for the culture.
Yeah, for real. And hip hop wise, he'll definitely be missed, but I don't think he really has anything else to give to us or really to prove to us in that regard. So it's nothing wrong with him going out this way. And I just look forward to hearing the project. Hope the project is every bit as good or hopefully better than some of the past great ones we've heard from him. And we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, just gotta wait and see. But shouts out to Ti, much props.
It's the king, homie. All right, but shifting gears, let's get into that DJ Envy controversy that came out the other day.
Yeah, DJ Envy's not looking good these days.
It just came out the other day that DJ Envy's former business partner Cesar Pina was accused of swindling investors out of millions of dollars, and it got bad to the point that the feds actually came to the iHeart Studios the other day, but there was a rumor going out that they seized a lot of equipment for like investigation purposes, but that was not the case. The reason why they went to the studio was to let DJ Envy know of Pina's arrest. But according to DJ Envy, the reason why his name was put on the lawsuit was because of his celebrity status to like give the case like I guess more credibility in a sense. So what do you think about this?
I don't know. To me, when there's smoke, there's fire. To me, he's from what I've heard him say that on a couple of interviews and online that he had nothing to do with what was going on. He was just kind of like being the person to promote the business and whatnot, and get people that he knew in the in the industry to invest in some of these properties. So he's trying to distance himself from this Cesar Pena character. So, but at the end of the day, man, when you put your name on something, you have to be able to know what you're putting your name on. So you can't just be blindly co-signing people just because that like they're your boys and not know like the ins and outs of their business and what's going on. So it's just not a good look for DJ Envy. And he's on one of the most influential radio shows, The Breakfast Club. So I'm not sure how he's going to bounce back from that. They've already lost Angela Yee earlier this year, who started her own show, and now DJ Envy is in all this controversy. So it'd be interesting to see where the show goes from here. It might end up being the Charlemagne show after all of this happens, but hopefully DJ Envy is not involved. Hopefully it was just something that he just didn't know about, and it was just somebody that he knows, and that he was trying to get on, and he just didn't know what things were going on behind the scenes. But there should be a lesson to people when anytime you put your name on something, one, you got to know who you're dealing with, what they got going on, and you just got to be mindful of putting your name out there, because if something happens, they're gonna look at you. They don't really know who this Caesar Pena dude is. They know who DJ Envy is because he's very popular. So you got to just be careful of what you put your name on.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of the same situation with Selena, the singer from back in the 90s. It reminds me of like her and the president of her fan club, who was also her friend. And then apparently like the friend was like stealing money and like, not mailing out the things that people paid for to get. And then that actually led to that business manager actually killing Selena. Yeah, it's kind of like a similar situation. It kind of reminds me of like, when I first heard about this. And yeah, it got so bad and it's kind of looked like it's getting ugly to the point where I heard a report that iHeart actually posted a job opening and it basically described everything that DJ Envy does in his job.
Yeah, but at the same time, they have been looking for a third host ever since Angela Yee left and went to her own show. So I don't really put too much stock into that job opening, because they have been looking for a third host. They haven't been able to fill that spot. They've had like a lot of guest hosts, which is cool, but they haven't found like that third person to be on the show all the time. So I think it's more of that. I think it was just a coincidence that people just saw that opening at the time when this news report came out. So we'll see how everything plays out, but it's just not a good look for DJ Envy. So hopefully this is just something that passes by, get his lawyers involved, and he can come out unscathed from this. But it's just not a good look.
Yeah, anytime you're doing business with someone and that other person gets in trouble, even if it's not your fault and you had nothing to do with it, it still is a bad reflection on you by association. So even if he didn't do anything, and I'm not saying that he did because I have no fucking idea, but regardless, like just the fact that this dude he was doing business with is like in all this hot water and whatnot, that also makes him look bad in a sense. But hopefully, like you said, like he wasn't really involved and he wasn't responsible, and this shit eventually blows over. Because deep down, I can't imagine that opening a Breakfast Club without him. That shit would be fucking weird, fucking
Yeah,
weird.
it's already weird right now without Angela Yee. Well, I don't know if you listened to it lately, but
Yeah,
there's something
actually,
missing from the show.
I wanted to mention that. Yeah, it's still good, but it's not the same without her. Like especially the rumor report. Yeah, it's not the same vibe at all.
And it brings a good balance also, because you have Charlemagne the God and you have DJ Envy as the males, and then you had Angela Yee, who's been in the game for a long time. She's worked for Sirius. She has her own show. She has podcasts. So she does a lot of different things in the industry. So you could tell that it was a loss losing her to have her own show. So hopefully they can get a third host to kind of bring the show more balanced, because like I said, it is a lot of male influence, so we need some female influence on that show. But we'll see how it plays out. But at the end of the day, one thing to take from this: just be careful who you do business with, and if you're gonna jump into business or put your name on something, make sure you know what it's about, and make sure that the other person is not doing anything shady or scam people behind people's backs.
Yeah, because even if you're not responsible for it, like I said before, it's a bad reflection on you for the fact that you're associated with them.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens. See what happens from here.
Yes, but Jay-Z recently opened up in an interview commemorating the celebration of Hype Williams and all of his accomplishments that for the Sunshine video back in 1997, Hype Williams was going to charge him $1.8 million for the original idea.
That's nuts. That is nuts. And to think that, because right now, 1.8 million dollars is a lot of money. But imagine that, like in like the mid 90s. That's probably at least like equivalent to maybe $5 million for just some music video. It's not even like a TV series or a movie. This is just a 3-4 minute video, and the budget is almost $2 million for a video. So that's insane.
Yeah, I know it was the P. Diddy's shiny suit era and all that, but still, bro. And that was Jay-Z's reaction, like when Hype Williams like told him about it, like and like described everything he wanted to do, and he was like, "Come on, bro. Like, you think I'm dumb or something? Yo, you fucking playing with me?" he was not happy with him at all. Like once Hype Williams brought that to him, he was not a fan, not
I
a fucking fan.
Yeah, I understand where Hove is coming from, but at the same time, if you think back at it, Hype Williams was that producer. Anytime you saw directed by Hype Williams, you know that it was going to be like a cinematic movie experience for just a video. Let me just list off some of the names of the videos that he produced and why I feel like it's justified for him to be charging that type of money. Okay, so one, Busta Rhymes and Janet Jackson. That video. What was the name of the song called again?
What's it gonna be?
Yeah, what's it going to be? That video alone, with that video was way ahead of its time. With it reminded me kind of like of the Terminator 2, how it had like the
Oh
liquid
shit! Oh
turning
shit! Good
into
point.
turning into into solids. It was just a dope video, and the visuals were just way ahead of its time. So that's one that stuck out to me. California Love, which was a star-studded video with Tupac and Dr. Dre, and had a lot of cameos from George Clinton to a lot of other actors and actresses were in that video. Also, Flavor in Your Ear, One More Chance, the remix, Warning, Missy's She's a Bitch, also Big Pimpin', and then I'm just gonna throw this out there. Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See is another classic video from Busta Rhymes and Hype Williams. That's probably, I would say, one of my most favorite videos of all time. But those are just some videos, just to name a few, and there's a few that I haven't even touched on that are classic videos. But what are some that stood out to you, if that I haven't mentioned already, from Hype Williams?
Super Duper Fly from Missy Elliott goes without saying.
Oh shit! Yeah, I can't stand the rain. That garbage suit that Missy was wearing, that
Oh my
garbage bag
god.
suit.
Such an innovator, but we'll get into Missy in a few minutes. But yeah, Super Duper Fly, the I'll Be Missing You Biggie tribute, he did that shit too.
Yeah, that was another good one. What else?
Feel So Good
Uh,
for Mace, Feel So Good.
yeah, that was another big budget video.
Also, Busta Rhymes, Give Me Some More, another Busta Rhymes
Yeah,
collabo.
that was another funny video where
Video was
Busta Rhymes
crazy.
was in different characters. Yeah, that was a good fun video. There's also Quiet Storm, Mobb Deep and Lil Kim. He also directed that Quiet Storm. Every time it rains, me and my boys, every time it rained, I used to sit in the car and call him. We're like, "Yo, niggas is dead and shit." So that used to be my shit. That
Oh
used to be my
shit.
shit.
That's what's up.
So,
Oh, you know what? You know which one he did back in the day, actually? Positive Case, I Got a Man. He directed that one.
oh, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know he was making videos that early. I thought he came out like 93, 94, like
91,
around that time.
91 were his first credits. His first few videos were in 91.
Oh, shit. He also came out with No Diggity, Wu Tang, Can It Be Also Simple, DMX, how's it going down? So
No
like so many
Scrubs.
videos, man.
Bro, no
No
Scrubs.
Scrubs.
No Scrubs, son.
Yeah, that was another video that was ahead of its time. And then More
And
Money,
this is
More
just the
Problems.
90s. And this is just the 90s. He had a bunch in the 2000s, too.
Yeah, More Money, More Problems was a big one after Biggie passed. Tiger Woods was in that video. Like there was a lot going on in that video. That was definitely a high budget. Also, there was one other one, She's a Bitch by Missy. That was a dope video. People don't give that song a lot of attention. That was Missy's like second or third album, but that was a very
Second,
dope video.
second.
Yeah, that was a really dope video that I think gets slept on as well. But nonetheless, Hype Williams is definitely a pioneer when it comes to directing. I think the only other person who was close to his level was maybe Little X, or Director X was another name for him. But other than that, I don't remember anybody else who was on that level as far as making videos. That were pretty much movies.
Yeah, but back to the Sunshine video real fast. It ended up getting like stripped down to like a different version of it. Like Jay Z even said himself, like looking back at it, he kind of wished he would gone into like a different direction instead of like compromising like with half of his idea and half of Hype Williams' idea. Because as a result, we ended up getting the video that we got. But let's be real, like that song, that album, and that video specifically, they're not parts of Jay Z's career that people look back on fondly and that like people have the best memories of.
Yeah, that video, that time, Jay Z looks like he was trying something different after dropping Reasonable Doubt on his first album. So this was his second album, and yeah, you could tell Sunshine didn't really hit like he expected it to. It was more like a commercial push, I would say. But that album did have a couple bangers on there. It had that A Million and One Questions was on there from what I remember. And that was a dope DJ Premier produced track. That was one of my favorite. That's probably one of my favorite Jay Z songs. It's definitely up there. But nonetheless, it was yeah, it didn't hit the mark with that video and that song.
Yeah, it just felt like he was like being something that he wasn't, and like trying to like do what everybody else was doing, like Diddy specifically at the time. Not one of my favorite Jay Z projects by any stretch. Like that, also Life and Times, and yeah, Dynasty Rock the Familiar. Also Kingdom Come. Like those are like just projects of Jay Z's I can't really rock with.
Yeah, it's hard to drop a classic album or every album to be great. So over the course of his career, he's dropped more good albums than not.
No, no doubt about it.
Yeah, just with that video and that time, it was just wasn't a good look for Jay Z. Jay Z was also in the news. I don't know if you heard about Gail King. She's been on. She interviews mad people, and she interviewed Jay Z,
Yeah, I know about Gayle
and
King.
she asked Jay Z in the interview, like, because they know that thing that's been going on the internet for the last few years. Would you sit down with Jay Z and have dinner with him, or would you take $50,000? And Jay Z himself said he would take the $50,000 rather than sitting down and having
No
dinner with
shit.
him. So what would you think? What would you pick if you had the choice between sitting down with Hove and getting some knowledge and picking his brain versus getting a $50,000?
I mean, look, a conversation with him and a dinner with him would definitely teach me a lot. But yo, I'm taking the money, son. Fuck out of here. I'm taking the
Yeah, I don't
money.
blame you because you could definitely get some knowledge just from Ho's rhymes that he had over the years through the course of his albums and his songs, and even his book that the book that he came out with, Decoded.
Yeah, if I want to get knowledge from him, I could just watch like videos online and keep the money at the same time. It's a win-win.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was smart. I don't think he's gonna give you $50,000 worth of knowledge in a an hour dinner. So I would definitely take the money and yeah, go from there.
And who knows, you might not even hit it off with him. You might eat dinner with him and you guys might not even get along and you might not like him. So you're fucked times
Yeah,
two.
it might not. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes when you meet your the
Heroes.
icons or people your heroes, they don't live up to how you think they would in your head. So they might not be as cool as you think they are. They might be assholes, and they might be condescending. So who knows how that dinner would go. But def cash, money is money. So I'll take the 50K any day.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But yeah, that Sunshine video, yeah, it turned out the way it did. Like I said, we're not really big fans of it, but it's like he said he looked at that as like a learning experience, like, not to, compromise to that degree. Like, if you don't want to go in that specific direction, you go in a different direction instead. Because Hype Williams like kind of wanted to make it like a circus type vibe. That's like one of the reasons why it was gonna be so expensive. It was gonna have like a bunch of elephants and shit. And yeah, Jay Z wasn't having it. I can understand why Jay Z wasn't having it, but yeah, so as a result, we ended up getting the video that we did. Oh yeah, and speaking of another project Hype Williams directed, he also directed the Can't Knock the Hustle video from the album before. So that's why like when they were collaborating again, they kind of wanted to recapture that same magic, but on this try, it just didn't go down that way.
Yeah, that between that video and Sunshine is night and day because that Can't Knock the Hustle was a grimy black and white video, and then this video was a total opposite. Let's not forget, Hype Williams also directed and produced Belly, which starred Nas and DMX, and also T-Boz and Method Man. So that we forget that that he produced. That was one of the most popular, I would say, hip hop movies that came out during the '90s. So shouts out to Hype Williams for being a pioneer in the game and impacting the culture.
Yeah, the 25-year anniversary of that is in a few weeks, actually. I think next week.
So so we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in upcoming episodes.
All right, but yeah, sometimes you just live and learn. Sometimes the projects you work on just don't turn out the way you expect them to, and you just got to move on to the next one. And Jay Z bounced back in a major way with Hard Knock Life. That album, just in general, was kind of the beginning of the Jay Z we know now. So it
Yeah,
all worked
that
out.
album's had tracks on tracks on tracks, so all bangers on that album.
Not his best album, but definitely a lot of, yeah, like you said, a lot of fire ass tracks on there.
Money Cash Holes. Well, what else is on there?
Hard Knock
Reservoir
Life.
Dog, Hard Knock Life, Jigga What Jigga Who was on there. Some bangers on that album, man. It's All Right with Memph Bleak was on there too. There's a lot of tracks on there. Well, Money Ain't a
Jigga My
Thing.
Nigga.
Yeah, so there's a lot of songs on there.
Yeah. It was all good just a week ago.
Yeah, when you go on for days. So I might have to listen to the album after this podcast. Bring me back.
Yeah, it was the anniversary of that one last month too. Damn, 98 had so many classics, son. So many classics.
Yeah, it was one of the best years in hip hop. A lot of heat dropped that year.
Yeah, 98, 96 is a close second, but we'll do an episode about that another time. So there was this female Mount Rushmore of hip hop that just dropped yesterday that I saw online. It's kind of commemorating like the popular female rappers that are out now, and this is how they put it out. So for this female Mount Rushmore, we have Glorilla, Lotto, Sexy Red, and Ice Spice.
What kind of list is this, man? Who made this
Oh
list?
my god.
Who made this list, man? Like, I get it. They're probably the more. They're probably
This
the
is of right now. This is of like right now, not like of all time, but like of right now.
yeah. Maybe over the last 6 months, I would say they would most likely be the hottest female rappers. You got to also include the City Girls and also Cardi, over because Cardi's been killing it when it comes to like jumping on singles and remixes and whatnot. But yeah, I feel like it's a little too early for these females to have any type of Mount Rushmore associated with them. They've only been out for like not with the exception of Lotto, she's been out for a few years now. She's been killing it. So she's the one that I would say is pretty solid and can remain on the list. But Glorilla, Sexy Red,
Sexy
they've just been
Red.
hot like over the last few months. So I don't really think that they have enough legs in the game to be on a Mount Rushmore. And Ice Spice, she has been doing her thing, but I don't really call her like a lyricist, and because she does pop music as well. So I wouldn't say she's like she does rap, but I would say she's kind of like a hybrid. She does rap and pop, and she's even doing songs with like Taylor Swift. So I would say it's a little bit too early. So instead of talking about like the new artists, what would you say like any artist that would be on the Mount Rushmore? Say let's say for the 2010s and up, or the 2020s and up. Who would you say like some of the female artists that would make a Mount Rushmore?
Honestly, I guess for like the last 10 years or so, I guess Nicki Minaj, Doja Cat, I guess Cardi B by default. I'm not a huge fan, but I got to give props where it's due. She's definitely had a nice run. And as far as the fourth one, I don't even know. Yeah, I really don't even know.
So I would say my list is very similar to yours. I would say the over the last 10 years, you got to put Nicki on there. She's been killing it. She's held her own with females and also males. So she's been doing it, and she's also crossed different genres. She's done hip hop, pop, even dancehall songs, and she kills it. No matter what genre she goes into. So you got to put Nicki up there. Cardi, like you said, I would say by kind of like by default, because there's not really a lot of female rappers that have made a lot of noise, but she's left her mark in the game. She's has a lot of singles. She's had a lot of awards. We still need that second album from her, but she's dropped a lot of remixes and singles that kept her name relevant over the last few years. You got to put Meg The Stallion on there, even though she's been kind of quiet lately with the after the whole Tory Lanez trial and all and whatnot. But she has been killing it over the last few years, dropping songs and albums. So you got to give her props. And then also Doja Cat, she's also another crossover artist. She reminds me a lot like Nicki, where she can do rap, pop, R&B. So she can do a lot of different genres and still sound dope. So I would say those are some of the newer age artists that I feel like are holding it down for the females. And what about the golden era? What would you say maybe like in the 90s, and then also maybe like the 80s, like the pioneers? Who would you say are someone like the standout female artists or Mount Rushmore?
I definitely got to go with Missy Elliott. Just an innovator on every level. Great videos, great tracks, super dope lyricist, and her catalog speaks for itself. If there's one person that definitely goes on mine, it's definitely her. I don't know if I would say she's my number one, but she's definitely one of my top for female wise of all time. It's no question about it. I've definitely put her.
Okay, can't go
Also,
wrong with Missy. She's definitely up there.
I know it's more of a group as opposed to a solo act, but Salt and Pepper, I definitely got to put on there. Salt and Pepper, I got to put on there.
Okay.
Yeah, I always like their shit a lot, especially their shit in the '90s. I always fuck with Salt and Pepper shit. I could just tell like their songs were like always about something, even though most of it was about sex, which I didn't mind. But the difference between Salt and Pepper with their sex songs and like a lot of the girls now, Salt and Pepper were just better at it. They were just better rappers than a lot of the girls are now. So that's why I guess in a way I liked it more.
And the songs were catchy, and it also did have a message. Like "Let's Talk About Sex" was a big song, but it was talking about being positive and being smart. With that,
Exactly.
especially during that time when AIDS was on the rise and whatnot. So it was a very important song.
Yeah, they had songs about AIDS too. Yeah, they also had a song about AIDS back then.
Yeah, so definitely Salt and Pepper are some of the pioneers. Anybody else you would add to that list?
Yeah, and honestly, looking back at it now, I feel like they were like the first girl hip hop act to like really go commercial. Like even before MC Light or Queen Latifah and Roxanne Shante, I wouldn't call it like a commercial success per se, but Salt and Pepper were like the first like female rappers. I feel like they that really crossed over, like the way Run DMC were the first rappers to cross over male wise. I
Hmm.
feel like that was Salt and Pepper was for the females back in that era.
Yeah, they definitely held it down for the females, and there was not a lot of female artists during that time. And if you came out, you had to be nice and you had to be saying something. And they just had everything. They had the swag, they had the songs, they had the lyrics. They were just dope. I would say another one that you forgot, or two that you forgot. I would say during that
I'm
that
not finished yet.
'80s.
I'm not
Oh,
finished
my
yet. I'm
bad,
gonna
my bad.
finish
I'm
it
sorry,
too.
bro. My bad, bro. My bad, bro. Go ahead, finish your list, bro.
All right, so yeah, Salt and Pepper I gotta put on there too. Lauren Hill, I gotta throw Lauren Hill in there.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Lauren. I'll let you finish your list, and I'll give you my list. I have one for the '80s and also one for like the '90s era.
I feel like Lauren Hill's work on both the score and also Miseducation speaks for itself. I know she didn't really do much after that album wise, but just her work alone on those two albums, and hell, even Biggie only had two albums at that too. So, and with those two albums alone, we look at him as one of the greats. So, there's no reason why you can't look at Lauren Hill as one of the greats
Yeah,
either in that
yeah,
regard.
you got to make the argument from her if you make it for Biggie, so that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And last, fuck, this is gonna be hard. Fuck, this
The
is gonna
last one's
be
always the hard
fucking
one.
hard. Motherfucker. I'm gonna have to go with Queen Latifah.
Yeah, I was gonna. All right, that's a good choice. Can't go wrong with the Queen.
UNITY is just such a hard track. Like whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, you can jam to that shit.
Yeah, that song still slaps. That saxophone at the beginning, like I don't know, every time I hear that song, like just takes me back to that time.
Goosebumps, goosebumps. They had an episode of Living Single actually in the first season where like this friend of Kyle and Overton's calls all the girls bitches, and then they have to stand up for them. And then actually at the end of the episode, they play the UNITY video.
Yeah, I have to go back and watch. It's been a while, man. That show's like 30 years old. So
So is Martin, but you remember that shit?
yeah, but Martin, I don't know. I watch Martin to this day, like even the reruns.
They used to come on back to back. Martin would come on, then Living Single would come on after, then New York Undercover would come on after.
I know, but Martin is a different type of show, man. Martin is just a classic. Like I know, Living Single is a classic show, but Martin is like another level of classic.
Yeah, I actually had fun binge watching Martin last summer, like after the reunion special dropped. I went back and binge watched it. I will say though, the last season is hard to get through, especially the later part of the last season. It's bad. Like with Gina
Oh,
being
oh yeah,
gone, it's fucking bad.
yeah. If there's no Martin and
Fucking
Gina,
bad.
there's no Martin show. So yeah, definitely when they got into their issues, the show wasn't the same.
The first two seasons, even the third season, I would say are the best ones.
That was definitely a good show. Well, let me get into my Mount Rushmore before we get too off topic. So I would say for
Okay.
the '80s golden era, I would say my list is pretty much similar to you, but you did forget somebody. So I would go with Salt and Pepper, definitely. Roxanne Shante, one of the pioneers. Queen Latifah, and then MC Light. Forgot about her. She's one of the
Ooh, MC Light.
Yeah, she was definitely one of the dope female lyricists at that time. So shouts out to her. And then for the '90s, I would go with Lauren, just off of like you said, off of the Miseducation, the score, and also the Nappy Heads, that Fuji's album that came out before. Also, I would go with Missy. You can't deny Missy's influence with her videos, her songs, both rapping and R&B and writing as well. People forget that she produced and wrote a lot of R&B songs. The Gina Thompson song 702. So there was a lot of different artists that she helped out when they were first coming
Also,
out.
Aaliyah,
So
she was
Aaliyah too, you know,
and Genuine.
very influential. Yeah. You forgot the Queen Bee, Lil
Ooh.
Kim. You got to put her on the list for the '90s. And then the last one though for the '90s, that was kind of a toss up. I would probably put, I don't know, man. It's either Foxy or Eve, man. I don't know
I
who
fucks
to
with
kind of go
Eve.
with. I think Foxy didn't have. Yeah, Eve was more, I would say, more influential because she did have the short hair, and a lot of people were rocking that look back then. And also, she did, venture into movies and TV shows and whatnot. So, shouts out to Eve. She definitely held it down, and then she was the first female of the Rough Riders.
Yo,
But you got to give Foxy Brown an honorable mention because she was holding her own against Lil Kim. She was rapping alongside like Jay-Z, Nas, and all of the hottest artists at that time, LL Cool J. So you definitely got to shout out Foxy Brown in the '90s. She did a thing.
yeah, she had a great one during those years. Even the early 2000s with that Broken Silence album, that one with Candy and fucking oh yeah, the reggae song.
Yeah, that was a dope track. I mean, yeah, Tables Will Turn. Yeah, that was a dope album. But but definitely those are some females that we wanted to shout out that have done their thing over the course of their career and have set a solid foundation for females to come after. So shouts out to them
Yeah,
who are doing the thing and holding it
yeah.
down.
Speaking of Eve, I was actually jamming to Love Is Blind last week, and yo, that song fucking slaps. That's like one of the best female hip hop songs you'll ever hear. Period. No matter what decade, no matter what era, that shit is top fucking notch.
Yeah, Eve was pretty dope when she came out. So shouts out to the Pitbull in the skirt.
Yeah. Great verses, great hook. She was a great addition to Rough Riders. Definitely an X factor in that crew, no doubt about it. No fucking doubt about it.
Yeah, she was dope.
Liked her in Barbershop too.
Oh yeah, she was in Barbershop. She had a TV show too, also.
Yeah, that show Eve, it was like on UPN. It lasted like maybe 3 seasons.
Yeah, I think she had a show last year with Brandy and the chick from that was in Power and 3LW. Forgot her name though.
Yeah, Natalie Naughton. Yeah, they had a show together on
Yeah,
ABC. Yeah, it got
yeah,
canceled
it was like
though.
a female. Yeah, it was a female rap. I felt like that show had potential, but I think Eve got pregnant and then they kind of scrapped it. So
Damn. It's so crazy. Eve never came out with another album after 2002. That Evolution album, that was the last album she ever dropped.
yeah, because she was venturing, she was doing movies and she became a businesswoman, so she didn't have to really put out music like that anymore.
Yeah, after that track with Gwen Stefani, Let Me Blow Your Mind, yeah, it was a wrap. Yeah, she was in another stratosphere from that point on.
Yeah, yeah, she blew up from there.
Yeah, she won a fucking Grammy for that track.
Yeah, it was huge. That song was huge.
All right, but let's get into some other news before we get out of here. We recently, this past weekend, went to the Hip Hop Museum in downtown Atlanta, and yo, we saw a lot of good history there, bro. A lot of cool outfits, a lot of cool album plaques, gold chains from back in the day, on freaking Flavor Flav's watch. Also,
Yeah, that was dope.
the very first hip hop flyer we saw there too. Different flyers promoting different events throughout the 70s and 80s, like with crazy ass lineups, like Big Daddy Kane in this one random show in Pennsylvania, and also this one tour with LL Cool J, Run DMC, Houdini, and also Grandmaster Flash. Yeah, that's a
What
crazy
a
ass
fucking
lineup.
lineup, yo.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah,
crazy ass
there was
tour.
one. Yeah, it was one. Big Daddy Kane, Ice T, and Queen Latifah. Like, what kind of lineup is that, bro? Like, that's ridiculous. So, shouts out to Mass Appeal once again. They definitely showing love for the hip hop 50th anniversary. They've been had their hands in everything. But this hip hop museum tour is pretty dope. I would definitely check it out if it comes to your city. It was in NYC on October 14th, and it was in Atlanta on the 21st. But it also do have a few more dates. They have Houston, LA, Charlotte, and Miami. So I would definitely check it out if it's in your city. The tickets are free, and they actually even give you a drink from Ciroc. So that was pretty dope. That we got to check out some dope hip hop memorabilia, and we also got a drink on top of that. So it was just a dope experience. Got to I learned some things that I didn't even know about hip hop. I thought I knew pretty much everything there is to know, but I learned some things that I learned about just to shop. Just to mention it was I learned about the Funky 4+1. This was like the first hip hop group that was on TV. They were on Saturday Night Live. And then they were also actually one of the first. They were the first hip hop group to get a recording deal. So shouts out to them. They were definitely pioneers in the game. So it was nice to learn about them. Also learned about the Fresh Fest and how people related to Jermaine Dupri were involved, and that's kind of how he got his foot like in the door and learned about the industry, and he's a legend to this day. So shouts out to the Fresh Fest and shouts out to Jermaine Dupri. So it was just dope to see some of the artifacts, the memorabilia, Slick Rick's throne. You saw Run DMC's jacket and their
Their
shell toe
hats.
Adidas, the hats, like you saw like some dope flyers, like some of the first hip hop flyers, like DJ Kool Herc's flyer for the first hip hop party in 1973. So it was dope to see that. Grandmaster Flash's jacket, like you said, Flavor Flav's clock. Like it was just a dope experience just to see that, and it was good to be in a space with a lot of like-minded individuals who love hip hop just like we do.
Yeah, what I was surprised by was that they only really covered the 70s and the 80s as far as, hip hop and like the history of hip hop, which I didn't mind though, but I was just surprised by it. But yeah, that was definitely the golden era of hip hop. Like without the 70s and the 80s, we would not have hip hop the way we know it today, especially the 90s. We would have never gotten the 90s without those 70s and 80s years. And that was great to, learn the history of that and be around that history, but also, yes, like King Khan said, like-minded people. It was a good experience, good vibe, and
Yeah,
I definitely look forward to going back to another one. It was I've kind of been in similar things like this before for like like TV shows, but it was really cool to go to something like this for hip hop where like it had a lot of history, a lot of culture, and yeah, it's definitely one of the greatest art forms that there is, and I'm very blessed to be able to have a podcast to talk about it. And Saturday going to that museum was another reminder of that.
yeah, it was just another dope time that dope experience, and just shows you that hip hop is here to stay. It's been around for 50 years. I feel like it's been around longer than that, but we have a long way to go. And it was dope how the museum paid homage to like the originators and also some of like the groups that helped take hip hop to a whole nother level. So this was just like a pop up shop, which I believe the actual hip hop museum is being built. I know Nas and LL Cool J and Fat Joe and a couple others were involved in getting it built. And from my understanding, it's supposed to be opened up in 2024. So I would in the Bronx. So when it's open, I definitely would encourage everybody to go check it out. There's a lot of history, and if you love the genre and the culture, just somewhere that you would enjoy. So it's a space for us to appreciate our forefathers.
Yeah, definitely learn the history of hip hop, whether you're an old fan or a new fan. It'll definitely give you a different appreciation for it. I know it definitely did that for me when I lived in New York in the late 2000s. I definitely became more of a fan of hip hop and became more of an appreciator of its history. And I'm grateful for that time because it's a great history to learn from and great music you'll discover along the way, too. A lot of good ass music you'll discover at that.
Yeah, so shouts out to Mass Appeal, Ciroc, and the Hip Hop Museum. So definitely check it out when it comes to your city if you get a chance to.
Yes, and we're going to be hearing from Suge Knight soon as he's about to drop a podcast soon from prison, and it's going to be called Collect Calls with Suge Knight.
Yeah, I heard about that, but I'm kind of worried, man, about that. I don't know what. I've never really heard Suge Knight talk that much, especially since he's been locked up. So I haven't really seen too many interviews, and I don't know, just the vibe that I get from him is kind of weird. So it'd be interesting to hear what he's going to talk about, if he's going to, put anybody's business out there. Like, so it's going to be if he talks about Puff and the whole East versus West Coast beef. So it'd be interesting to see what he's going to talk about in this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's locked up. He probably doesn't care. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll hear a lot of interesting stories. And, yeah, that is one scary ass dude. I will say that. That is like one dude I would not want to be around.
Yeah, so get your popcorn ready. Definitely going to be some interesting takes on that podcast.
Did you ever watch his documentary that they did for him on Showtime where the dude from Training Day interviewed him? The dude who directed Training Day?
No, I didn't catch that one.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Yeah, there was even one point where they were like on a boat together. I'm like, bro, I would not get on a boat with this dude.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. Yeah, but I might have to go check out that doc just to learn a little bit more about Suge Knight. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it's a good story, but yeah, he is one definitely. Yeah, but he is definitely one dude you do not want to be on the bad side of. You heard those stories about like what he did to Vanilla Ice, what he did to Easy E, where like apparently like he held like one or the other of them like from a balcony like to get money out of them or like to get or like in Easy's case to get Dr. Dre out of his deal.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those figures that you're intimidated by just by the look of him. I don't know if he's that big and bad like as everybody made it seem. He's had like a mystique about him, but you definitely one of the the people in the industry would like to get his perspective on a few things.
Yeah, definitely. But yes, we're gonna wrap it up real fast. But are you excited for the NBA season dropping tomorrow night?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Shouts out to the New York Knicks. Glad, interested to see what they're gonna do this year. I know they didn't make too many moves, but they have the chemistry and the continuity. So I'm just excited for the season. Dame is on Milwaukee now, so him and Giannis should be dope to see.
Yeah, definitely. And props to Shaq and Allen Iverson as they were both named the president and vice president of Reebok basketball, which is a brand new venture by Reebok. And it's remarked Shaq's return to Reebok for the first time in many years. And yo, it's a good look. Another crazy ass thing for Shaq to put on his resume. More power to him.
Shaq has his hands pretty much in everything. He DJs, he has businesses, he raps, he's on TV. Like so, Shaq does a little bit of everything, and it's dope how Reebok used to be like other than Nike, it used to be the brand back in the '90s, where with their basketball shoes, and even the early 2000s with the Jay Z and the 50 Cent, the G Unit sneakers that they came out. So they were pretty popular. And then over the last few years, Adidas has taken over them and Under Armour. So I'm glad that they brought some people who made them a lot of money over the years. Brought two of like I would say their bigger sneaker sellers, bring them back in the fold and have them, help influence the brand and push it back into the right direction. So I'm interested to see like what, new sneakers or new clothing or new merch that comes out of this new venture with Reebok and AI and Shaq. So I'm interested to see how that works out.
Yeah, definitely. With those two, I think it'll definitely be a success. And yeah, like I said, another thing for Shaq to add to his resume, and it's a good look. And look forward to seeing how it goes. But we got to wrap it up. So until next time, until next week for King Khan, this is Conscious Kirk for another edition of the Shifting the Culture podcast. Take care. God bless, and always rep the hip hop shit. Have a good one.
Peace.